And it was a part of his mission to deliver the message personally to the representatives of all the tribes. This is how we understand this. Now, second thing is that he was once asked to show a miracle, and he said, "No miracle will be shown unto you except the miracle of Jonah, the prophet of the fish, who was taken alive, swallowed alive by fish, according to the biblical story, which is also supported to a very great extent by the Holy Quran. Although the Holy Quran doesn't say that the fish was swallowed right into the stomach, but swallowing process was there, and he might have been caught somewhere in the throat or esophagus. But regardless of what happened actually, we agree that Jonah is known to have lived 3 days and nights under circumstances which normally should have caused death. And it appears almost impossible for a man to have been swallowed by a fish and yet remain alive after 3 days. And that is exactly what happened. So from that reference of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, to Jonah, and his claim that no other miracle would be shown unto you but the miracle of Jonah, we receive the message that he was to be kept for 3 days and 3 nights under precarious conditions, in which normally a person should have died. But he would survive those conditions and he will defeat death, like Jonah defeated death. So now we are well prepared to go into the act of crucifixion. Partly I have spoken on that, and now I'll come to the latter, another important factor, that is the duration of crucifixion. Normally, people were hanged on cross for 3 days and 3 nights. And the crucifixion was an instrument of torturous death, not just an instrument of death. Or they could have just impaled somebody or cut his head with a sword. So what is the difference between crucifixion and just simple murder or killing? The difference is that of torture added to death. So they devised a slow means of death. This is why the main arteries were never severed or punctured, and the custom was to pierce the hands and feet at points where arteries are not punctured. And slow, torturous death by hanging, by infection, by thirst, by hunger, by intoxication of the wounds and so on and so forth, would not only kill but torture the person. For that, crucifixion generally took 3 days and nights, plus minus, but not 3 hours. While Jesus Christ, according to the biblical statement, was permitted to hang upon the cross only for about a few hours, which may be between 2.5 hours to 4 or 5 hours at the maximum. Why I say that is because he, according to one statement of the Bible, was hanged in the afternoon of Friday. And the season was that of fall, when the days are already shortened and squeezed. And between the sunset and the afternoon of a Friday of fall in Palestine, there is hardly a difference of 3 hours or at the maximum 4 hours by any stretch of imagination. So he was hanged in the afternoon. He was taken down before the sunset, because that was the Sabbath day, starting at the sunset of that Friday. Saturday was Sabbath, as you know. And when he was taken down, 2 other things also happened. Number 1, his side was pierced, and the eyewitnesses tell us that blood and water gushed out. Now, the words in English are gushed out, or according to some translations, rushed out. but a passive flow is not mentioned at all. Rushing out is a phenomenon which is directly indicative of the beating of heart, throbbing of arteries. Blood never gushes out of dead people. Why water? Because in that stance and of injury and hanging for a few hours, it is very likely medically that such a person should suffer from pleurisy apart from other things. So if there is a wet pleurisy developing, then not only water would rush out, but blood also if he is alive. If he is dead, then only water would rush out. Thirdly, we know that his legs were not broken and were spared. Fourthly, we know that when the matter was reported to Pilate and someone asked him, who was friendly, Joseph Amitia, who was friendly both to the Christians and to the authorities, his first response, which is noted by the Bible, is already dead. He was an experienced governor. He knew how long people took to die by hanging on cross. So his surprise is so natural and so spontaneous. Already dead, yet despite all reservations, he permitted the body to be frisked away. And that is exactly what the Christians did. He was kept in a so-called grave, which is of course a cave in which other people could also sit as they did. So all this and another factor which has also been mentioned in the Bible tend us to believe that he never died. He remained alive. When it was said that he gave up the ghost, he must have swooned. And the promise of God was kept. He was never deserted. He was taken down alive. Coming of blood from his body is a witness of that. And also another very important factor should be borne in mind, that a sort of ointment was applied upon his body. The whole body and wounds were treated with some ointment, in which 12 disciples took part, apostles took part, and the recipe of that ointment is still preserved. And it is a widely known recipe all over the world. Even the old Muslim healers used to make this appointment, and even today it is made in Pakistan. It is called Marham Isa, the ointment of Jesus. In that ointment, we find ingredients of various natures, some painkillers, some cures for bleeding, hemorrhages, etc., some cures for infections and all that. Now, if Jesus was already dead, peace be upon him, as it is claimed by the present day Christians, then, for the last many centuries of course, then of course there was no need, no requirement for an ointment to be applied to him. Now when St. John mentions this, he knows that something strange is happening. Why should a dead man be anointed or treated with an ointment? So he knows there is something wrong here. The picture is not just correct. So he adds from himself that this was the custom of the Jews to apply ointments to their dead. For that time perhaps it was a good excuse which could pass. But the present day Christian scholars have not only totally ruled it out, but they have inferred that from this it is very clear that St. John was not of the Jewish stock, because it is an established fact beyond doubt that the Jews never treated their dead with any sort of ointment. So that reference to an ointment and that explanation by way of excuse tells us that even St. John noted this fact that this is unusual. It shouldn't have happened. Later on, he is seen 3 days